I haven't watched through everything, so it will be a little bit of um, seeing what's up as we go along. But um, Starly asked to look at this demo. Um, Generally, just saying there were a lot of 5vx's where you had a big advantage that you let go, and that maybe the team play wasn't optimal for trying to get um, the most out of advantages that you had. So that's the main thing I'm going to look at. And then if there's anything else that is super obvious, I'll try to um, touch on that as well, but hopefully not just sit here and ramble for hours on end. Alright. Um, for a start, that was a little dubious out of eyes here. So you have your teammate on site, and it's really great getting this molly down from Colty, delaying the push, allowing his teammate to come in and play together, which is going to be the biggest thing for keeping your advantages as advantages and not losing 5vx's. But um, just a small thing, when you're rotating into a site, Colty has this whole area locked down behind Cake, where he has his own space, and basically when Eyes tries to run in here also to Cake, there just is not enough room in that position for two people. Um, and you want to be playing somewhere that um, you can shoot with your teammate. So once Colty has this molly down, Eyes say ran to heaven and Colty's Cake. Now you guys are shooting both from the same angle, able to take fights together. Or Colty even, or Eyes could even come over here and take this fight, and then Colty can stay tucked and then fight as Eyes getting contact. But by just kind of freaking out and running into the site, you give up what should be a good situation for your team. Now, 3v5 retake is going to be pretty difficult. Okay. This is an eco round. Not super important. I'm glad you guys stacked a site. Way to play to be together. That was good. Alright, I think this kind of goes without saying because you can see it was a mistake. You died early, but just wide swinging E-box with no supporting util when they could have an op is a big no-no. Gonna put you in 5v4s or 4v5s pretty frequently. After you lose this player and now you're in a 4v4, especially on Anubis, but really on any map, once you're down a man, you need to take some sort of space back. Um, so if we think about the moment your teammate dies E-box, you have no info A main because Colty's back cake. You don't have mid because Eyes is all the way back here. Um, so the T's could be anywhere, basically like here. There's this whole big area the T's could be in. And because there's this big area they can be in, you guys have to be worried about every single part of the map with even um, levels of worry, I guess. And when you go and lose a man like this, the best thing you can do, and in this situation it'd be Mr. Cool and B-Long, the best thing you can do is find a partner and take some space back. So Mr. Cool and B-Long, since you two are the ones that are close together, one of you two should be like, let's clear out B main. Since we knew the op was here, we obviously don't want to say let's clear out canals. So let's clear out B main. And then you two together, like one guy here, one guy here, walk in, or I guess here and here, or it doesn't really matter how you do it. Um, I think the most optimal is along the back wall and the front wall, where this back wall guy walks out and is holding, and then this guy can wide swing to clear um, and trade. But either way, you group up, you walk in, take space back, and say you kill Google MK Ultra. You see B main's clear. You send a guy on this path to flank. The other guy can rotate back in. Hopefully, Eyes has found somewhere he can live and keep the 4v4 now instead of 4v5 um, with so much extra space, because now you know the T's aren't anywhere here, right? Keeping all of this space to yourself. Um, just like a good concept to try and keep in mind, and doing things together to make sure that you are giving yourself the best chance to win rounds. That being said, you basically just play as a default, and the T's run into you and die. And now you are in a 4v2. So, complete opposite situation. You have a big advantage, and you want to not die and give up your big advantage. Um, so, let's briefly think about the best way to do that. Um, Having information is still nice, where it's good to know where they can and can't be. But what's more important, especially on maps where retakes are relatively easy, um, I think the best example would really be A site, but even on B site, you have this 4v2, and Mr. Cool can play anywhere basically besides where he is. You don't want to be Pizza, you don't really want to be Backsite or um, Yukendar, but instead choose to be um, somewhere like even all the way back here, watching for plant, in temple, watching B main, jiggling, and all you're trying to do as a solo guy, and same for Colty, in these man situations, is get the info on where the enemies are, and once you have the info, get your teammates to come to you and make the play then to win the round. What you don't want to do is make the play to win the round by yourself, die, and make the retake harder for your teammates. So Mr. Cool, the best thing you can do here is just live and get the info. Um, Especially when you're repeatedly giving away man up situations, it just is necessary basically to not overplay these situations. That being said, it looks like they don't kill Mr. Cool anyways until the retake happens, so it works out. And then nice job from Colty and B-Long there, swinging with the team, making sure the Opper can't get multiple shots off in a row. That was nice to see. Alright. I'm also happy to see you guys are varying your setup between rounds, not just doing the same thing every time. You saw they had an op posted on stairs last round, so now you are nading it to try and dissuade that. It's also nice. Alright, now you're in a 5v4. So, I think to compare and contrast with the 4v5 from last round, um, it is a little bit of a different situation. The issue is mainly the map that you're on, Anubis, is still very difficult to get rounds as CTs in 5v4s if you have no info. Um, so I mean, you have the option of playing to live as your side anchor still and playing to retake. So Mr. Cool and Sky could be playing like back long in Temple and just spotting for the T's running in, waiting for the rotators, trying to kill one as they're planning, but not running in and dying and just living. But really, I think as the B players, um, against most teams, unless they're putting 3 or 4 people in B main, I really just like taking this B main space away as often as possible. Um, but basically, the same concept is relevant here. Of you need some sort of info, um, or you need to be playing to retake the site. But instead, what you're doing is playing on the site as 2 people and trying to fight and kill as many as you can, and then let your teammates retake. Um, which is nice if you get the kills, but if you can't get the kills and you just make your teammates retake 3v4, you go from a 1 round to a lost round pretty quickly. Um, all right, and this is a sort of the reason why I like taking B main, um, laid out in front of you. You have these 2 guys sitting backside, and um, you can tell they're coming in E-box, right? You know a B hit's about to happen, and you want to find a safe space to play from. Your only options really are here and here now, because you know they're going to be coming out of con and B main with util and pinching you and just generally making your lives miserable. But when you fight into B main and then you hear this Molly con, you're like, oh, they're coming into connector, and you just make sure you're not going to get shot in the back. And when they come into the bomb site, you have this fight and a pretty easy path to live and play retake with so much extra space. Um, yeah, so see how the man advantage ends up playing out. All right, well, the Sky doesn't actually go down on the site take, but I guess the other 2 do, which now puts you in, again, like I was saying, a kind of shit situation trying to do this retake, um, where you're forced to just get what you can from it. It still is not the worst, but it's coming down to individual skill, not team play. So not the most reproducible against everyone. Nice job to live there. Let your teammate still take contact like that. Um, really no reason to clear A main right now. You have 2 guys coming into flank. Um, you have a guy holding mid still. You know they were in A main. You have all of the information on the map. Like, you know what's happening. Um, and just coming and peeking here is looking for a solo duel and giving them an opportunity to get back into the round. But good job before that. It is an unfortunate eco to lose. Alright, let's see what happened there. So, we have a 5v3. Obviously, super huge man advantage. But let's think about what info we have on the map. Colty's pushed up in A main. Um, which seems like nice info, right? Seems like, oh, I know they're not A. I know they're not coming A. Um, but take a second and really think about what this position is telling you. What it's telling you is when Colty sees someone, you have about 5 seconds before they're on the bomb site. Which is not enough time for your team to actually do anything about them getting onto the bomb site, right? But playing this position guarantees you're either going to kill all of the T's or you're going to die. All of the T's coming A main. Um, so I guess what I'm trying to say is you really have a lot less information in this position than it seems like, because um, the actual distance to get from here to planting the bomb is pretty minimal, especially when, I mean, Eyes is running this rotate, I think, but um, this is difficult to actually get a lot out of this position. And then unfortunate timing on moving up, but really just not needing to be in that position to start with. The better idea would be playing your life, um, and getting with your teammate and letting them into the bomb site. Even playing, there's this little cubby in heaven. I don't know if I can fly there again. Okay. This spot right here, you can play in and they can see you as they're coming out cams, but it's harder. And you just sit here, you jiggle cams, you let them out A main, basically say, you can plant the bomb, I don't really care, I'm going to wait for my teammates to get here and we're going to kill you after you plant the bomb. And by doing that, you allow Eyes, who's coming in through the storage retake, or storage rotate, to come fight with you and keep your advantage. Alright, so now your teammate dies in A main, and you have 3 guys running the rotate to A, because they're like, oh shit, the bomb is at A, I need to come to A. So what should you do in this situation? Should you be fighting the guy Cams who's running out? Um, or should you be living? Again, looking at the risk of it, if you kill this guy in Cams, what do you get out of it? You get a 4v2 retake, um, which is better than a 4v3 retake, but if you lose it, now you're in a 3v3 retake, um, which is significantly worse than a 4v3 retake, and you lose all of the information that you had about storage. So now, if you lose this, Mecha's boat can just push into storage and hold all of this space, giving his team so much more room to maneuver around the bomb site. Where if you just tuck here, wait for your rotates in, you're just so much better off. And um, again, getting caught off on a timing, it is unfortunate that you got caught off on a timing, but you got caught off on a timing because you were in a bad spot, not because it was a timing. And then going before the flash is a little bit of team communication maybe. Just not quite being together to trade there, but not really that big of a deal. Nico. Okay. So, ooh, an early pick on B, unfortunate. I think, I don't know. I don't think there's really a lot you can take away from that. This round, a little bit unfortunate. You just got called out on your positioning. I would assume it probably doesn't happen again in the game. Alright. Here, I like this idea. I like the idea of way overstacking the site and sending these guys out to clear B main. I think that's a really nice idea. Um, and I'm proud of you guys for taking the risk and executing on it in what could end up being like your last real buy of the half. Um, that being said, these guys need to be closer together. They're not really in trade positions. It was nice that you flashed, but I don't even know that um, the T is blind here. But you get a nice opening. You get hopefully some info. One more's there. This is all really nice. I mean, other than the trading there, and again, this was also a trading issue between you two, and positioning. Now that you have all of this info, um, the best thing you could really do, well, I guess there's two options. One, you either take the idea that the T's are not going to come back to look for you, um, which is definitely possible, or you take the option that the T's are going to come back and look for you. And it's a little bit on you to figure out which one you think is going to happen. Because if you do say, I don't think you're going to come re-clear me, I think you're going to just run to A because you saw 4 people B, just staying in this advanced position and going for a fast flank isn't that bad of a play, but it is the more risky play. If you instead just cede this position, say you're going to have to waste time in utility making sure I'm not in B main before you go and do anything else, run back, meet back up with Mr. Cool, and now re-clear space somewhere else on the map. That's generally the safer play and probably the one I'd go for more often, but staying forward isn't always the worst. Now that he's flashed, I think it's more obvious that they're going to come and try and clear you, so now you would want to just run away, but that doesn't happen. And because you go down in this position, your teams have to scramble on this rotate. 7 here's this rotate. I assume they just go back to A. Yeah. A little unfortunate. One did a good job living outside of cams and not trying to fight in and at least giving you a small chance into this round. That was cool. Really doing what I had talked about earlier. You get guns out here, but really low util. You need to try and do something aggressive since you can't stuff and play rotates. You give up canals. You need to be taking B main if you give up canals. And that is because otherwise you're going to get crunched, and this is hard to defend. You do a good job of getting 2, but still a very difficult round, and a nice play on the retake, but again, not super reproducible. This guy just get you through the smoke. Yeah, unfortunate. I mean, you're not really doing much by peeking there, but alright, so now a similar issue with Colty and A main. I don't know why you knife out, but every time Colty I've seen you on A site or fountain or like not in A main, you've done a really good job of playing your life, getting your rotates there, and then fighting. Like I'd be happy if my teammates were playing it the way that you were playing it. Every time you're in A main, you've died and gotten 0 and let them have A. Or, I mean, in this situation, I guess they're not taking A, but you keep solo pushing into A main and just hoping you win this fight, which isn't the worst fight in the world for you. Like, it's a guy peeking on a headshot angle that you should be able to kill. But, I mean, there's plenty of flashes to root you out, plenty of mollies they could be throwing to root you out, that you could just die. Is a very much a 50-50 fight, and you're 11-6, so clearly you're winning fights, but you're not winning this fight every time I've seen you take it. Um, so just try and be cognizant of like letting your teammates come help you rather than trying to be the hero. Um, Even though sometimes it does feel like that is what needs to happen, it leads to rounds like this where um, you gave up a man for basically nothing. Great. Nice job. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas I gave, but the biggest thing that was costing you guys rounds, um, which these two are going to sound like I'm uh, disagreeing with myself. They're contradictory statements. Um, but there were times where you were too aggressive, and there were times where you're too passive. When you're alone, you tended to be way too aggressive, and when you guys were together, you tended to be way too passive. So really, what to think about is, um, when I have a teammate with me, I can take space. When I don't have a teammate with me, I need to live. Um, and if you take anything away from this, have it be that. When you're alone, don't die. When you're with people, get kills. Um, so like the B players, you have multiple B players on site. You lose canals, you take B main. Um, the A players, you lose a guy mid, and your mid guy falls back to A. You have two guys on A, take A main. Um, Say you hear, I don't know. Say you have two guys on B and you start two mid early. So now your B site's a little weak. You have two mid. Go take mid control together. Um, or even like you have two guys B and two guys mid, maybe, or three guys B, one guy mid. Maybe you throw this top mid smoke and all of you guys fight for canals together. Or you have two guys B, one guy mid, two guys A, throw a two stair smoke. You use these numbers to crunch onto one spot. Um, just generally like use your men to get info and kills, and then um, when you're in a position that isn't overstacked, play your life to allow people to come to you and then go get kills. Um, and I mean, Colty, like I said, did a really good job living on A. I did see a couple moments where the B guys did a pretty good job living on B, um, or at least one of them would and one of them wouldn't, where their positions weren't always the most conducive for each other. Um, but yeah, I mean, definitely not the worst CT side, but very reliant on solo plays. And I've already talked for a long time, so um, we'll maybe do the T side in a while. But hopefully you learned something. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me.